Hi there! We're going to talk today a little bit about supply curves. We've already talked about marginal costs and a few other things, and I'd like to consider also about profit. So supply curves can apply to long run, short run, but there are a few things that seem very commonplace within these supply curves. And one thing I'd like to note is about equilibriums. In a market or in a firm or organization, a company having a specific production or price per quantity will end up with a profit of 0. Now let's walk through the math really quick, and I'll take you through this graph. So profit is total revenue minus total cost. So total cost would be the price for the office, the price for the factory, the price for supplies. Your total revenue is going to be your total revenue. But we can also change revenue to be price times by quantity. And as always, we have that here. So price times by quantity minus quantity times by average total cost, or average cost, depending on who you're talking to or which equation you're working with. And we can transform that to be price times by quantity, in parentheses or brackets, minus quantity times by average total cost, again, or average cost. And the average total cost for the quantity, so make sure that that's very specific. We can further break that down to be quantity times by, in the parentheses, price minus average total cost. And if the profit equals 0, the price equals the average total cost. So what does that mean? Well, if we take a look on this chart, we are producing a certain amount of goods that meets a 0 mark for our price. So our average total, or average variable cost in this case, is the exact same amount as our price. So we are making 0 profit and we are losing 0 profit. We can lower P, or price, make this a P2, and if we're going to meet this somewhere, notice our average variable cost here. We're going to meet our marginal cost, and we're going to have a far, far, far less Q2. And additionally, if we were to increase our prices, so P3, we're going to meet up the marginal cost, head down here, and we're going to have our Q3, or quantity 3. Now remember in your charts here that quantity times by price is going to be this entire region for P1 and Q1, or in this case, Q2 will be here. And as you can notice, they might be making a net loss. And up here, we have our P3 and Q3. Now if you look here, your marginal costs have gone up, and your average variable cost is also a little bit up. So are you making a profit? Are you not? We can run it through this formula here and give it a shot. Typically, the larger the square, the more profit that you're making, but that's not always going to be the case, because remember that your average variable or your average total cost is always going to change and is not proportional to the price of the product or the quantity either. Each one is independent of the other, depending on your supply and your production. Now, mind you, when we are looking at this chart, we have a profit that is either, or a price that is greater than our average total cost or less than. And when we have firms that are entering or exiting a market, it's very important to look at this curve. You're going to be using this curve and this graph very often, so make sure that you get familiar with it. So remember, if price is less than average total cost, well, then your profit's going to be less than 0, which means that it's a negative profit. So companies will be leaving, but if you want companies to come in, price needs to be greater than average total cost. This is a great visualization tool, so don't forget to use it. I hope that was useful for you. It solved maybe a few questions that you had. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. See ya!